Hi, and welcome to this video entitled Protected HID Lamps and Why We Want Them. To go over it real quick, in metal halide probe start, pulse start, ceramic metal halide, you have an option typically of protected or non-protected. Sometimes you don't have an option at all. When you do have the option, we always recommend choosing the protected version. When you don't have the option and you have to buy the enclosed lamp version, use it only in an enclosed fixture. That's not an enclosed fixture that uses air cooling. That's a completely sealed enclosed fixture that if the arc tube should rupture out of the glass jacket, that it's not going to leave the enclosure. By the end of the video, you'll understand why we say this. First off, this is a Philips CDM 330 All-Start with a quartz tube for the protection rating. This is a CDM 400 HPS retro white from Philips, and it uses a coil around this arc tube, and it's able, and as well as the glass format, is able to provide the protection. There's a GE 400 watt and 250 watt HPS ceramic metal halide 3000 Kelvin lamp out there that is enclosed fixture use only. You only can use that lamp in a completely sealed enclosure, not an air-cooled enclosure, but rather a fixture that has no way for that arc tube to get out. The reason why I emphasize air-cooled is if you're running an air-cooled and the arc tube ruptures, by the end of the video you'll understand why. That arc tube is going to go through your entire air system, and with the volume of air that's going through, it's a huge fire risk there. With HPS, you don't need a protected rating lamp, nor is there a non-protected HPS lamp. We do recommend only buying name brand gear, and the reason for that is with some of the lower end gear that we've actually seen, and you can see a photo on our website of a I believe it was a ProSim, if I'm not mistaken, HPS lower end quality lamp, that the arc tube ruptured and the glass actually shattered. So in that case you would want one because it's a low end bulb, but on like a Philips or GE or something else, HPS, you don't need it because it's not high pressure when in that arc tube. It's actually a low pressure, even though it's called high pressure. The reason is because they have a low pressure sodium lamp. If you go back to the video covering ceramic metal halide, it goes into that. So we'll get that out of the way since that's no longer needed. With metal halide, I'll show you a metal halide lamp. Some metal halide lamps are available looking like this and being protected. However, that is very rare, and most of them are not. This one is not from, I'd have to look it up real quick, but this one I believe is not a protected, so this would have to run in an enclosed fixture. When the arc tube ruptures, it can actually rupture this outer glass, is what they mean, and go off into your environment. Sorry, I had to move that over. Let me get this one out of the way. Actually, I'll show you. The coil on here is what provides the protection, and it keeps the arc tube in the spot and doesn't allow it to leave. And if it should leave, the rest of the lamp technology, excuse me, keeps it in place. And you'll see through a picture I'll show you here in a minute about that. And with the CDM 330 All-Start, it uses the quartz sleeve to maintain that arc tube protection. Let's get these two out of the way. Now here is a CDM 250 that had failed. We took the glass off, but as you can see, the seal here, which is actually supposed to be solid and one solid piece, it had cracked, and it's got quite a bit of tension on there, so nothing really wanted to come apart. So this bulb was actually not a bad failure at all. We'll move on to another failure. They get progressively worse, and I'll explain why. Let's see where that one is. As you can see with this one, this arc tube failed because the cermet seal had failed. As you can see that hole there, and you can see the chemical wash from there, and the predominant chemical layout there, it was able to move the entire arc tube closer to the glass, and the metal support frame actually held it in place. Nice save again on a Phillips. Got it. Quite a few glass ones rolling over here. Here's where you can see where the coil protection came into play. The arc tube actually ruptured and actually had cracked in several locations. The coil kept it in location. This was a catastrophic failure, i.e. really bad. If this was not a protected bulb, i.e. the GE, and I'm not dissing GE, I'm just wanting to make sure everyone's very clear on what lamps are protected and what are not. If this was the GE lamp, this would have been a catastrophic failure. This is a MH, an MH 150 Sylvania, not a bad brand, that had failed. And as you can see, the quartz arc tube did take a hit, and it's gotten worse because I shake it around, and I've used this for demo for a little bit. But however, you can see the quartz sleeve actually did protect the outer jacket from rupturing. This is actually a nice save for fixtures. You do not want your fixture to suffer this kind of consequence when a lamp goes out on you, i.e. you come in and see your lamps burnt out and blown up your reflector. So not only do you have to buy a new lamp, you have to buy a whole new reflector. When you get protected, you don't need to do that. Here's actually a picture on our website that is in our CMH facts page. I don't really want to edit this and put it in there, but you can actually see this arc tube had actually failed. Let me move that. Sorry. Do apologize about that. And the outer jacket had actually cracked. However, again, this Phillips lamp had managed to keep this catastrophic failure inside the lamp. Did not do any damage to the reflector whatsoever. Customer was pretty happy about that. As you can see, the top electrode, which is this right here, has been obliterated. So as you can see, you want a protected bulb. This bulb actually was able to withstand the pressure from the ceramic arc tube. Philips, GE, Sylvania, they've all even gone as far as putting the quartz sleeve even in their par lamps in certain sizes and certain formats for increased protection, because depending on the size, shape, it can actually help propel the arc tube out at whatever the object is lighting up, and 9 times out of 10 with these lamps it's going to be something flammable. This lamp does not have a quartz sleeve around it. However, it does have a jacket around it, as well as pretty thick glass, thicker than most other par lamps, and it's not from when we dense test it, it's pretty dense. Not sure really what it is, but I think they do tell us. Just don't know off the top of our head. Here are some arc tube bits from a 400 watt. These are two 400 watt ceramic metal halide arc tubes, and this is a 400 watt metal halide lamp that had ruptured. A control rupture. This bit and this bit did not leave the lamp, so these are the heaviest components that would actually do the most damage, and they stayed in the lamp. These bits, they have been cleaned as much as they're dirty. They have been cleaned from a chemical residue standpoint, so I'm safe touching them. I don't recommend doing this with your lamp unless someone has treated it for you. But as you can tell, it's pretty light material. It's a quartz arc tube, so if this were to come out, it wouldn't go far. So as long as nothing's flammable close to this, you're generally okay. However, up to I don't even want to say a foot, because depending on wind and temperature, it can vary. But this cools down very quickly. It doesn't really want to fly too far because it has no physics really behind it to push it away. The ceramic metal halide, however, has weight to it, and when it ruptures, as you've seen, it generally goes into several large bits like these did. And this actually has a lot of weight compared to the quartz counterpart, and it's, as you can tell, it's quite a bit louder when it dings. I have obviously raised the glass up to allow for not a more dramatic impact, but so that way you can hear the differences. This is just the end cap, and that is, you know, kind of loud versus a large portion of that glass, which it just broke apart into another piece. So it's generally safe when it gets far away, and it's not going to have the force. Whereas this, as you saw with this lamp right here, had this one left the outer jacket, it would actually have done severe damage, as it would have gone as a little rocket. And as not everyone's aware yet, ceramic metal halide arc tubes hold their heat after they're turned off, which is actually good for horticulture or aquarium, as well as a few other applications. But in the downside, when the lamp ruptures, it can be a major fire risk. So you have to make sure you use an enclosed fixture if you're using an enclosed rated lamp. If you're using an open rated lamp, i.e. the HPS Retro White CDM series, or the CDM 330 All Starts, or a protected metal halide or protected ceramic metal halide from any manufacturer. So again, I hope this has helped you understand a little bit more about the safety concerns between protected and non-protected, and hope you choose to go with protected every route you can. And when you can't go with protected, make sure you do use a enclosed fixture and follow all safety protocols set by the manufacturer. If you do not do that, you can risk severe injury or death due to fire, or even if the arc tube comes at you and ruptures in such a catastrophic way